Don't get me started on fungus. No, seriously.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I'm a big believer that it's something that we don't pay the kind of attention to we should. I think Western medicine sees everything as bacterial.
Yeah.
And they misdiagnose stuff, and fungus is, I think, responsible for stuff that even the CDC a few years ago finally said, if you don't know what something is, look to fungus.
Yes.
And that was like many years late.
Yeah.
So, like I said, don't get me started.
I know, I agree.
This is
a
not
whole
really,
different podcast.
I mean,
this is
but
a whole different
for
podcast.
those who want to look more
with you. I'm
on
so
fungus?
with you on
Yeah,
fungus.
man.
Yeah, man. I want to be in the fungus.
Fungus. When HBO did that show, they had a show. It was a huge hit.
What was it?
It was called
How to Change Your Mind?
Last of Us, I think.
Oh, yeah.
And it was
I didn't
about
see it.
the villain in it was
shut
fungus. And I
up.
said, finally, somebody's getting on the fungus thing. Because
the villain, like not
the villain in the sense
device.
that
Okay.
whatever was taking over people and turning them into zombies. Everything you have to be either a zombie or a Dracula. Come on, this is TV.
Yeah.
But the thing that was behind it was fungus. I was like, yes, that's much more likely than,
Yeah.
Of course,
I mean, so many cancers are diagnosed as cancer when they're fungal.
Well,
My dog, case in point.
Well, do you know what they do when they want to give mice cancer in the lab?
They saute some mushrooms and.
Basically.
Really?
They give them mycotoxins. That's a fungus toxin. Penicillin.
Yeah.
Antibiotics are often.
Weren't they derived from the fungus that
moldy
grew on?
bread?
Yeah, moldy bread.
Okay, so the connection. I'm not saying I know the connection, but I've certainly read about the subject and people have their theories, and it looks like I think there is quite a connection between cancer and fungal infection, and
But the crazy thing about it is that when they do studies about like forestry, how fungus or mushrooms create their own.
Yes.
The way they can actually go in and save some trees by creating their own antibiotics. I mean, I think there's so many amazing possibilities, not just for humans, but also for the planet. I mean, at this moment when we're asleep at the wheel and nobody seems to give a shit about the planet because we're too worried about making sure, it drives me crazy how we're turning a blank eye to this or a blind eye. But anyway, the fact that mushrooms could be a huge answer to what's happening, to at least preserve
or a huge problem. I mean, they can kill us. I mean, you don't want to breathe in mold.
No, not mold. Yeah.
Well, but I mean, fungus is really strong. Almost every plant in nature is antifungal because it needs to be. Because plants don't have legs, they can't run away.
Right.
The only way they can repel it. But take a lemon, like the most antifungal thing. It's pure citrus.
Right.
You leave it on the counter long enough, what does it look like?
Yeah.
Has mold all over it.
Yeah, and it'll eat through a marble countertop.
Fungus is unrelenting. I'm a hawk on fungus.
Fungus is unrelenting. The name of our new podcast.
Extremism and the fight against fungus is no vice, and moderation is no virtue. I'm a one-issue candidate. I'm a hawk on fungus, and I'm going to attack anyone who's to my left on this issue. But it is true. I mean, fungus, people should think about fungus more, like sinal infections. I don't want to get started on.
But I will say, for people who have struggled with depression, people who have, mental challenges that the studies they've done at Johns Hopkins for years, it was shut down. They saw great outcomes for people with PTSD. I think at least people are starting to get back to the place where they can look at some of these natural, holistic, as being at least worth, legalizing.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't think the amount of mushrooms that you took for psychological reasons would be the kind that would be bad for you. And by the way, if you don't have a fungal infection, it's not, you can eat mushrooms, and your body has in it fungus that is natural, that you need some good bacteria, some bad bacteria, and some fungus. It's when you get the proportions out of whack. Antibiotics kill the good bacteria, which fight with the fungus for food. That's how we kill bacteria. But unfortunately, when they kill the bad bacteria, they kill the good bacteria.
Exactly.
And then the fungus proliferate.
Right.
Anybody who's had antibiotics probably has some level of a fungal infection.
Oh, absolutely.
Right. And fungus live on one thing, sugar. So you always feed them when you're eating the kind of things that are in the American diet, syrups and sugar and carbohydrates. That kind of stuff feeds, when you're hungry like that, it's the fungus calling out for food.
Yeah.
I told you not to get me started on fungus.
I didn't know you knew so much about mushrooms.
Fungus.
No one told me.
Fungus. I'm telling you, we could own it. As a
this
subject.
needs to be a 3-hour podcast, okay?
Only about fungus.
Only about fungus.
And every week, but only about fungus. It's like those stores that say, like, only lamps. You know? you go in, excuse me, do you have shades? I'm sure that happens once a day. And the guy goes,
lamps.
What do I have to fucking put in the title? It says only lamps. What do I have to do to
Not lazy boys.
But... no, I mean, you could do. Hey, thanks for watching the clip. Hit the subscribe button now so you never miss out on our Club Random content that's posted daily.